Hello, my name is Masha, and in today's video I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful bracelet. I really love this design. I love how it's very simple with just a cross, but then it's got this nice pop of color, and I just think it is so cute. This bracelet is definitely for at least intermediate bracelet makers. So if you are a beginner, I won't recommend you start with this bracelet. If you want some guidance as a beginner, I recommend you watch my beginner's guide video, which is like a general overview on bracelets, where to start, and how to actually make them. I'll link that video in the card and in the description for you. Going into this tutorial, I expect that you've already made a few bracelets before and are very familiar with the basic knots. Because of that, I won't be explaining or showing how to make the basic knots in my video today. I will just be telling you which knots to make. But if that sounds good to you, let's get on with it. I wrote a book! It's called The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, and it is in fact a guide for beginners on friendship bracelets. It talks about everything you need to know as a beginner friendship bracelet maker, and it teaches you all of the basics in photo tutorials, from how to make the basic knots, loops, patterns, and also simple bracelets. It comes out on August 23rd in the US and about a month later everywhere else, and you can pre-order now. It's available for pre-order pretty much anywhere you typically buy books. And if you do pre-order, which I highly encourage you do, you can enter a giveaway to win one of 4 packages containing a bracelet, a bunch of my favorite sparkly, multicolored and metallic string, some materials, and some washi tape as well. To enter the giveaway, you need to send a screenshot of proof of purchase to my publisher, Rocky Nook, on their website. The link to that will be in the description. I am so incredibly excited for you to see this book, and I hope you enjoy reading it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Alright, so for this bracelet you're going to need 6 colours. In my case there are 4 individual colours: red, blue, yellow and green, and then also black and white. For the individual colours, you're going to need 1 string per colour. For the white, or the colour of the cross, you're going to need 2 strings, and for the black, or for the outline, you're going to need 6 strings. All of these strings are roughly 1 meter long. I'm starting my bracelet off with a triangle end. To create this, you only need to know the order of the strings, which I will go over in just a second. And if you don't already know how to make triangle ends, I have an in-depth tutorial on that, which will be linked in the card and in the description. Of course, don't forget to leave enough string off to the side, mine is off camera, to create ties out of once the bracelet is finished. I like to leave about 10 to 15 centimeters, so I have a good amount of string left to work with at the end. And of course, the order of the strings to create the triangle ends on both sides is symmetrical. You start with the outline string, which is black for me. Then you go in with the first colour, which on the left for me is blue and on the right is yellow. Then another string of black, then a white string, or the colour of the cross, then another string of black, and then the second colour, which on the left is red and on the right is green for me. You can find the information about the string order also highlighted on the pattern to the left, so you can always look back on that to create your triangle ends as well. I highly recommend creating a triangle end for this bracelet because there's no easy way to create a loop because there's only 1 string per colour in some occasions, and a triangle really complements the pattern shape. So if you've never tried triangle ends before, I highly recommend you do. Again, there's an in-depth tutorial for it, which will be linked. But let's get into the actual tutorial. We start off really easy with an inverse chevron shape. We've got 2 black strings in the center. They're going to do a knot between them, and then one of those strings is going to go all the way to the right along each of these strings individually in forward knots, and then the other string is going to go all the way to the left along each of these strings in order in backward knots. So again, just a simple reverse chevron shape. Let's do that really quickly. Alright, with that first row done, the next part is very simple. We've got 2 strings in the center and we're just going to do a forward knot between them. In this case, it's going to be a forward knot with the blue on the yellow. That creates a little dot, and now we're going to close off that dot with the black strings. So we've got 2 of the strings for the colors in the center, and then we've got 2 black strings to the side of that. The black string on the right is going to do a backward knot onto the blue string. The black string on the left is going to do a forward knot onto the yellow string, and then once they meet in the center, they're going to do a knot between each other. And since they're both black strings, it doesn't matter which knot we do, I'm just going to do a forward knot. So that was pretty much a chevron row. The next part that we're going to do is also very similar to a chevron. When we grab the 6 central strings, we notice that the white strings are on the sides. We're going to do a chevron row with these white strings. The string on the left is going to do forward knots along these strings. The string on the right is going to do backward knots along these strings, and then they meet in the center and do a knot between themselves. Now we grab the 4 strings on the left, which are black, red, black, and orange. And these 3 strings, the black, the red, and the black, are going to do forward knots onto the orange string one by one, starting with the closest one to it, which is this black string. This one is going to do a forward knot onto the orange, then the red is going to do the forward knot, and then the second black string is going to do a forward knot onto the orange string. Once that's done, we once again grab these 4 strings that are on the edge, and this black string is going to do 3 backward knots to the left. 1 on this black string, 1 on this red string, and 1 on this black string. So we're ignoring the orange for now. So again, the black string that's coming out from underneath the cross is going to do 3 backward knots on the black, red, black. And now we've created that second dot. Let's do the same thing, but on the right side. Except it's going to be a little bit different this time. So we're going to be focusing on the blue string. We take the string that's next to it, which is the black string. That string is going to do a backward knot onto the blue. Then the blue is going to do a forward knot onto the green. And then the black is going to do a backward knot onto the blue. So backward knot, forward knot, backward knot. Then again, we grab the 4 strings that are on the right and the next black string, which is coming out from underneath the cross here. And this black string is going to do 3 forward knots on the black, green, black, excluding the blue string. The third dot is now complete, and now we can finish off the cross. The cross is fairly simple to finish off. The string that's on the left is going to do 2 backward knots, 1 on the black and 1 on the red that's just to the left of it. The one on the right is going to do 2 forward knots, 1 on the black and 1 on the green that's just to the right of it. Next, we grab the 4 strings in the center, focusing on the 2 black strings, which are first going to make a knot between each other, and then one string is going to do a backward knot on the red, and the other is going to do a forward knot on the green. And finally, the 2 strings now, we just do a forward knot between them with the red string onto the green string. We are very nearly done, just a few more elements before the pattern repeats. This next row is just going to be a simple chevron row, except it doesn't start at the edges. We take 2 strings on either side and we put them off to the side because we're not going to be focusing on them. Now we take the edge strings that are left, which should be a black string on either side, and we're going to do a row of chevron. The string on the left does forward knots along these 3 strings. The string on the right does backward knots along these 3 strings. They meet in the center and do a knot onto each other. Now let's focus on the 3 strings on the left, which for me are yellow, black, and white. This yellow string is going to do a forward knot on the black, then a forward backward knot on the white, followed by a backward knot on the black again. And then of course we do the same thing but in reverse on the right side, grabbing the 3 outermost strings. The blue string is going to do a backward knot on the black, a backward forward knot on the white, and then a forward knot on the black again. There we go, the repeating part of the pattern is now complete. There are timestamps in the description of the video for you to rewind to the beginning of this tutorial and follow it through again to create the second cross and then the third cross and however many crosses you like. There is one slight difference, however. If you are going to rewind to the beginning of this tutorial to create the second, third, and however many crosses that you like, you're going to have to skip through 2 steps because we've already done them. See this dot at the top? We've got a dot at the bottom as well. This dot at the bottom is going to be the top dot for the next cross. And since we've already done it, you don't have to repeat that step when you rewind back. You are going to start in the same way that we started there, with a reverse chevron shape, except those black strings aren't going to be in the middle. Counting off 3 strings from the right side, you encounter a black string, which is coming off from the top of that dot here. Same on the left side, count off 3 strings, and the 4th string is going to be a black string coming off from that dot. These are the strings that you're going to use to do the reverse chevron. So the string on the left is going to go all the way to the left in backward knots. The string on the right is going to go all the way to the right in forward knots. In the first portion of the tutorial, after that step, I then go and explain how to do that dot and close it off. Skip both of those steps entirely because we've already done that, and continue on with actually making the cross. And once you're at that point, you can follow the tutorial in its entirety through to the end. Once you're ready to finish your bracelet and you want to do it in a triangle end, you want your bracelet to be in a V shape. And to do that, you can follow this tutorial except the last two steps. So you're not going to do this little triangle of color on the left or the little triangle of color on the right. So once we finish off with that chevron shape, that's the point where you can continue to make your triangle end. And again, there is a separate tutorial for that, which explains in detail how to create triangle ends for bracelets. But alright, all of that being said, I'm gonna go finish this bracelet off camera and I'll be with you once I'm done. And this is how the bracelet turned out. As I said, I absolutely love this design. I think it's super cool and I love the extra pop of color that we get on the sides. I think it just makes this bracelet ever so special and so cute. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you end up making this bracelet, definitely make sure to tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see your creations. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you've got any questions, definitely leave a comment in the description and I'll try to answer as many as I can. And before I go for today, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters. Thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. And if you also want to become a patron and support the work that I do on this channel, the link to my account is in the description below. But in any case, thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you in my next one. Bye!